CJ Stroud is one of those players that is expected to do big things in 2022. The people that cover Ohio State have been saying it. You, the fans, have been saying it. Even the national media has been hyping his play up as well. But what are coaches witnessing and saying about Stroud's performances during fall camp? We'll discuss that and a whole lot more today on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to the episode of Locked on Buckeyes, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Wednesday, August 24th in the year 2022, and I want to thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. On today's episode, we will discuss what Jim Knowles thinks about the defense right now and one thing the defense must do in 2022. But before we get to any of that, it's shout out time, y'all, because today is my mama's birthday, Carol Stevens. Thank you for one, being a big supporter. And I just want to take some time to just say thank you, Mom. I mean, yes, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. I'm saying it here on the podcast for everyone to hear, but I also want to say just thank you. Supporting, raising me, putting up with me for 34 years on God's green earth. Thank you, Mom. Happy birthday. I hope you enjoy your special day. I know you're planning on watching some baseball, and I hope the Indianapolis Indians win and celebrate your birthday with you. CJ Stroud is amazing, y'all. We watched him play last year. We saw it during the Rose Bowl. We saw it last year during numerous games. CJ Stroud is one of those quarterbacks that when he's locked in, dialed in, and ready to go, I don't know if there's going to be many times you'll find 2 or 3 quarterbacks in college football better than Stroud when he is at his best. On the heels of the last game he played, which is the Rose Bowl, many people are wondering, will Stroud play like that throughout the entirety of this year's season? Will Stroud be that guy that no matter what, we get that performance that we got in the Rose Bowl every game this year? That's to be determined. That's up in the air. But I do believe we will get a different Stroud, a better CJ Stroud in 2022. Numerous coaches, Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, have commented on what Stroud has done in the offseason during fall camp. And I already believe we're going to have some big plays here from Stroud in 2022. And after reading and listening to what the coaches had to say about Stroud, I firmly believe that they believe that Stroud will be better this year and will improve upon what he did during last year's season. Here's what Ryan Day had to say about Stroud and what he has done and how he has progressed as a quarterback. Quote, he can handle a lot of information, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be really complicated either. But he can. He sees it well. He understands it. He has really good suggestions. He has a good thought process. Getting to the point where I go into a drive and ask him what he thinks. Not that we're always going to do that, but it's always good to hear what he's thinking, and we have a lot of good back and forth. And I think that's part of play calling and being on the same page with the quarterback. Because when you're in those meetings, you're talking about these things, and when that play is called, you know exactly why it's been called because you've talked about it in meetings. And so you're on the same page, and I think that hopefully pays off again this year, end quote. I love Stroud. I think that there are numerous things he can do to get better, but when it comes to the mind, comes to the mentals, comes to the poise, comes to being able to read and react, pre-snap read, post-snap verification, talked about it all last year. We'll talk about it more this coming up season as well. I do believe Stroud is doing that in a clip, in a way that you might say, well, but when it comes to Haskins and Fields and their careers at Ohio State, you might be at the end of the season saying Stroud is better than those two guys, and you might have 3 or 4 or 5 reasons why that statement is true. Here's what Jim Knowles had to say about CJ Stroud. We all know what Knowles has to say about the defense. We're going to learn more about that today. But here's what he had to say about Ohio State's QB1. Quote, he's just superior, top of the line. I mean, I was around Eli Manning at Ole Miss. I've said that before. But whatever we did in practice, Eli knew, because every defense has a weakness. So the faster the quarterback can process it and find it, like everything we do is trying to hide that hole. You really need 13 guys to play defense if you're going to cover everything, right? So you're always trying to disguise it. Get the quarterback to hold the ball a little bit. And CJ, he picks all that up. He and I talk, and he asks questions. He wants to learn. He's really the best I've been around in terms of the way he handles Knowles' defense, because we're doing a lot more than we did it back in 2003 in terms of throwing things at them, and he's fantastic. I don't think he makes mistakes. I'm glad he's on my side, and I don't have to play him, end quote. Coming into this season, Jim Knowles was hyped. Jim Knowles was the believer. He was going to be the orchestrator, the conductor of this new look defense at Ohio State. Many people believe Jim Knowles coming in is going to be the one thing, just Jim Knowles alone, the one thing that's going to change the defense. But it can't be just that. But Jim Knowles saying and praising Stroud for what he's done so far and how he wants to learn, not just from Ryan Day, but also how he wants to learn from Jim Knowles, the the head coach of the defense. I love what I'm hearing. I love what I'm reading. I am loving the things that I have seen in the short clips you get during practice. And I'm really, really glad that Ohio State has C.J. Stroud and that Jim Knowles has C.J. Stroud on his side, that he doesn't have to go up against him. And just you wait. Just you wait. Come September 3rd and the rest of the games throughout this season, I think there's a good chance, not going to say it's set in stone, but there's a good chance at the end of Stroud's career, people will be saying, if he's not number one, the best quarterback at Ohio State ever in the history of the school, surely in the top three. Could be top two. Who do you have there? Who is he competing with? Make your own list. Put it in the comments section. Let me know where you currently rate Stroud in the grand scheme of things, big picture, as Ohio State's best Ohio State quarterback over his career. Only 1 year so far, just like Haskins. Haskins was amazing. Stroud's first year was amazing. But I do think after 1 year as a starter at Ohio State, I'm with Ryan Day. I love how he picks things apart. I'm with Knowles, how Stroud wants to learn some more things. I think, Stroud's ready for one of the best years at a quarterback Ohio State has ever seen. And it really looks like that might happen this year. You know what else is going to happen this year? The defense is going to look different than it has previously, especially better than what it looked like last year. What does Jim Knowles think about this defense right now going into 2022? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that can happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, you kill someone. Everyone knows about the risk of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So, if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. Thanks again for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen every day. The ultimate college football preview is here. A 7-episode preview with college experts, local team experts, and Odyssey college football insiders. It's everything you need to be ready for the college football season in one spot. Search for Ultimate College Football Preview on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your fine podcast. I mentioned it previously. People believe that Jim Knowles coming to Ohio State is the one thing that is needed for the defense to get better. Now, I have displayed and described numerous reasons why Knowles coming is big, but it's not the end-all be-all of the defense being better in 2022. Jim Knowles used a word that really sticks out about how he feels about the defense right now. It's August 24th. We are about a week and a half away from the first game that Ohio State's going to play in the shoe in Ohio Stadium. Look at the shirt in Ohio Stadium. And this word speaks volumes. We're in fall camp. You might not get a lot of coaches that say this word who truly believe it, who truly mean it. When Jim Knowles gets behind the podium and the mic's in front of him, he's kind of a straight shooter. He doesn't really kind of jump around, say a lot of words, but doesn't say anything at all. Jim Knowles really is not going to shy away from really saying what's on his mind. And when he talked about the defense and how he views them right now, one word, starts with a C, sticks out in this quote that we got from Knowles recently. Quote, "I'm very comfortable with where we're at because we're going to have to pare it down now. We're going to have to get specific to our plans as we go. So I think we've come a long way in terms of installation, like I said, in the spring and again in fall camp, farther than I would have expected. The players are very open to learning, and they want to be great. So that part of it has been exciting, and we've been able to get a lot in, but we're going to have to start to pare it back and get specific to our opponent." He goes on while discussing, end quote, he goes on to say a little bit more about the defense. Jim Knowles recently said that Ohio State has been able to install 75% of their defense and of their packages so far. Right at the beginning of fall camp, even prior to it, Ohio State was at 25%. So in a very short amount of time, they went from 25% of the defense installed to 75% of said defense being installed. Will it get to 100%? Was that the goal? Well, Jim Knowles had this to say about that very thing. Quote, "We never really want to get to 100, right? We always want to leave a few things that nobody knows that we have, including the coaches or anybody. Just a few things like way back here that I keep to myself," end quote. That 100 that he mentioned earlier, that's 100%. You might say, Jay, what do you think about that? What do you think about Knowles and him not being at 100% and not really being sure about that very thing? Should the Buckeyes be at 100%? Should they keep things in their back pocket just in case certain things happen? I think he's right. 100% right. And y'all know there are times I'll come on here and pick apart and describe things that coaches say, that players do, and I have no problem sharing my mind or my opinion about a certain topic. So here we go. I love what Jim Knowles just said about the second part. Not, were you supposed to get out to 100%? I mean, think about it. If you know all your defense, 100% of said defense going into the season before week one, what wrinkles will you be able to have in your back pocket to throw into the fire down the road? Like if you know how to defend, let's go to top quarterbacks: DJ Uiagalelei, Casey Thompson, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young. If you know about, well, DJ Uiagalelei has to show it still, but you get the picture. He's still someone that's going to be talked about in national conversations. Or Michael Penix Jr. at Indiana, or a JT Daniels. Who is it? If he is the guy, and Knowles is a guy, and you know how to defend all these quarterbacks right now, and you show that week one, when you get to them down the road, they know how to defend you and how to go against you and how to have an offense that goes up against you, not defend, but offensively minded people can figure things out if they know what you're going to do up front. So I'm right there with Jim Knowles. You don't want to show everything right now. You don't want to let them know everything right now. Even coaches, they shouldn't know everything right now. You have to keep people on their toes, and I firmly believe Jim Knowles knows exactly what he's doing right now. But also, that word comfortable stuck out to me when I first start reading and listening to things that Jim Knowles said, and it still sticks out now. Jim Knowles using that word comfortable is key. He has only been here since January. He had to spend time away from the players while recruiting. He got 15 spring practices. One of them was a spring game, a scrimmage. He got to get 15 practices in fall camp. And so those practices are complete. And so when you think about all the things that are going on, when Knowles is saying, I'm comfortable, he hasn't had much time on the practice field. Well, he has, but a lot of his stuff has been done in a classroom. Maybe via a phone call. maybe going over things one-on-one in a one-on-one session. That's where a lot of these things are learned. It's learned by players. JT Tuimoloau, Mike Hall, Jack Sawyer, Zach Harrison, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, maybe meeting in somebody's room and saying, here's this new defense. Here's what we have to do, D tackles, D ends together as a unit to be successful. Or Tommy Eichenberg and Still Chambers and Reed Carrico and Taraja Mitchell and Chip Trainum and all CJ Hicks, all these linebackers get together themselves and say, he's not only the D coordinator, he's our position coach. So we have to do our job properly. So how about we do this thing properly, get together as a unit to figure out how to properly do things right with this new defense. We know everything that we need to know. The DB room, Denzel Burke, Cam Brown, Ja'Kalen Johnson, Jordan Hancock, Ronnie Hickman, Josh Proctor, Tanner McAllister, you got Court Williams, you got Sonny Styles, you got Lathan Ransom, you got all these guys that are talented, and you know what? They probably have some position meetings in a room by themselves as well. Because once everybody's bought in and involved, and everybody knows exactly what is going on, just wait, y'all. Just you wait and look and see what goes on when every position does their job, because they know their job. When all three units, D-line, linebacker, and defensive back, all work as one to accomplish a goal of not allowing the offense to cross the line of scrimmage. When everybody's working with that goal in mind, buddy, you also got to have some talent. You also got to have some coaches who are talented, who can adapt quickly. You know what? Ohio State this year, they're going to do some special things. And you know what? With Knowles being comfortable, man, like I'm at a loss for words. Because if the head coach of the defense right now is comfortable, the Fighting Irish have a lot coming for them in primetime on September 3rd. With Knowles being comfortable, that gives him more ammunition to discuss what the defense must do in 2022. What must they do? What does Jim Knowles being comfortable about the defense have to do with each other? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. We're here to introduce and talk about our new sponsor, Home Field. Now, some of you may have realized Jay is wearing a t-shirt, not a black, maybe short sleeve hoodie. He is wearing a t-shirt. Yes, this is a new shirt that is from Home Field's Ohio State collection. That is live. I want to stand up for you. Ohio Stadium on the shirt so everybody can see that's on the YouTube. If you're not on the YouTube, go over there and check it out. You'll be able to see the new shirt, as Home Field is a premium college football apparel brand out of Indianapolis. Incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. Home Field is finishing off Big News Saturday Season 4, and Ohio State is in the final week. Home Field digs through the archives and history of your school to find unique logos, mascots, and moments to make thoughtful designs for your school. The Ohio State collection has 17 pieces of apparel. You want to get your hands on those right now. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Once again, that's homefieldapparel.com, and use the promo code Locked on Buckeyes. That is correct. Locked on Buckeyes. The name of the show is the name of the promo code, and you will get 15% off at checkout, because we all love to save money. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Locked on Buckeyes. You can get a shirt just like the one I am wearing right now, saving money at checkout. 15%. We all love to save money. Just go do it. Homefieldapparel.com has something for you to get ready for the Ohio State football season. I am a person. I'll listen to your talk. I will hear what you got to say. But at some point, you have to put your money where your mouth is. Now, imagine a player like a LeBron James. This is not, I know people that know me that will watch this or listen to this and that will say, oh, Jay brought up LeBron. I know what he's going to say. You probably don't. Imagine a person, you don't have to imagine, many of you might be fans of him, LeBron James. And LeBron James was billed the chosen one. He was someone that had a nickname in high school, the chosen one. has a tattoo on his back. He even calls himself King James. It's at King James on the Instagram, at King James on the Twitter. If he had a Snapchat, I would venture that's at King James as well. It's at King James, and that's LeBron. His personal verified account on those apps. I know for sure the IG and the Twitter, King James. Now imagine a person that plays basketball or at anything, and they call themselves King whatever. If I call myself King J, or you called yourself King Mike or King Sarah. I know a Sarah. She might be watching this. She might get a kick out of that. So imagine you calling yourself King whatever, but not really living up to the expectations of someone who is called King, who is going to be bold enough to put King whatever, King Mike, King J, King Sarah in there for their handle. Think about that very thing. You talk about it, you have your handle, you say, I'm going to be doing this and doing that in my sport, but all of a sudden, you just don't live up to it. You would say, hey, buddy, stop talking and do something. Now, one thing about Ohio State is they might not do that. Some players don't talk. We have heard all offseason the defense is improving. The defense is safeties are flying all over the field. This is a whole lot better of a defense. It's going to be more aggressive. We have heard a lot of things that are going to hype up this defense, just like somebody. Now, Ohio State is not doing the King James thing, but Ohio State is doing a lot of things of a person that is going to do something very big the next time they're on the court, on the field, at their occupation, whatever it might is. They are answering questions, and the answers and the replies that they're giving, they're simply saying, we're going to be better. We're going to be better. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do a lot of things that we didn't do previously. Just like a person that might call themselves king whatever, if they do say those things, but they don't really have the success of somebody that's hyping themselves up, Ohio State has to prove themselves and has to do better, because all signs of what we're hearing from these press conferences is that the defense will do better. The defense will be better, just like somebody, even if they don't have the king whatever as their name, even if they are just one person that is just all talk, that's just talking. I'm going to do this, man. I'm going to do that. Okay, we got a rivalry game coming up on Friday or this weekend. I got 2 touchdowns, 150 through the air, and I'm going to take this jet sweep to the house for 3 tutties in the game. All of a sudden, you say, man, I'm going to play my heart out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We are going to win. We're going to play better. All of a sudden, it's not there. Now, it's not so much the Buckeyes are hyping up and talking themselves up. They're literally just answering questions. Aggressive defense. Safeties flying around. JT Tuimoloau is doing great. Jack Sawyer's doing phenomenal things. Tommy Eichenberg and Still Chambers have separated themselves. We need to see it. That's it. Imagine somebody if they were called King James and they said a lot of things to hype themselves up and say what they're going to do, but all of a sudden they didn't do it. You would say, man, you're a whack. What is your problem? You're not even doing what you're saying you're going to do. Talk is cheap. It's really cheap. Also, saying and describing things that are happening in practice and those things not happening on the field, that's kind of alarming as well. Why are things not being transferred to the playing field? That's a question that will be asked if things don't transfer to the game field. There's a lot of things, exciting things to happen about this defense. A lot of good things have been said, but I'll take the I out of this. We need to see it. The expectation at Ohio State is to have a better defense than what Ohio State has had last year, the year before. This could be the best defense that Ryan Day has had since he has been head coach at Ohio State. Could be. Might be. Some say it should be. We need to see it. A person that talks himself up, even just simply answering questions that makes you think things are going to get better and they don't get better, that's whack. That is whack. Don't talk about it if you don't believe it. Don't say things are happening. Then in the game, they don't. We need to see it. Prove it to us. Now, aggressive defense, great. Flying around on defense, great. We need to see it. And if it's happening in practice, it is not happening in the game, that's going to lead to more questions and more conversations for us to have right here on this here podcast. Guys, I love this time of year. Football's here. Ohio State football's right around the corner. We're going to be having parties and meeting people we have never met before. And you know what? Those people you've never met before, have them come back to Locked On Buckeyes to stay up to date with everything going on with the Ohio State Buckeyes every day of the week. You can follow me right here on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. You see the new shirt? We'll stand up one more time. Ohio Stadium celebrating 100 years. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONBuckeyes to save 15% at checkout. You will not be disappointed. Also, in the meantime, check out Locked On Big Ten. It's your place to stay up to date with everything going on in the Big Ten Conference and to learn more about Ohio State's next opponent that's in the Big Ten Conference. Locked On Big Ten is hosted by Nate Dickinson. He is joined by a local expert every day to take you around the conference in 30 minutes. Locked On Big Ten is just like Locked On Buckeyes. They are both free and available, F-R-E-E. Yes, they are on the YouTube, on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and wherever you get your fine podcasts. We're out of here on this hump day. It's Wednesday, y'all. Let's have a good day. Let's finish this week out strong.